The emergency beacon died the moment Captain Caitlin Webb's scanner locked onto it. She sat forward in her command chair aboard the TFS Providence, coffee forgotten in her hand, watching the distress signal from the Council survey vessel blink once, twice, then vanish into static. Behind her, Lieutenant Lucas Hall's fingers flew across his tactical display. Captain, that's the third Council ship this week. Lucas turned, his jaw tight. Same sector, same pattern. They send out a distress call, then nothing. Caitlin set down her cup with deliberate care. Time to intercept. 4 hours at maximum burn. Do it. She leaned back, studying the star map projected above them. And Lucas. Battle stations. The Providence wasn't the largest ship in humanity's fleet. That honor belonged to the dreadnoughts patrolling the outer colonies. But at 2 kilometers of reinforced titanium and enough firepower to crack a moon, the heavy cruiser was more than sufficient for most threats. Caitlin had commanded her for 6 years, through pirate raids and territorial disputes with hostile species. She knew every bolt, every crew member, every capability of her ship. What she didn't know was why 3 Council vessels had disappeared in the past week. The Galactic Council had made first contact with humanity 15 years ago, cautiously extending an invitation to join their peaceful coalition of 70 species. They were diplomats, scientists, explorers, civilizations that had evolved beyond warfare centuries or millennia ago. They viewed humanity's military with barely concealed horror, politely declining most requests for cooperation, until their ship started vanishing. Lieutenant Sofia Ramirez looked up from communications. Captain, I'm detecting something. It's faint, but there's a massive energy signature ahead. Whatever it is, it's big. How big? 5 kilometers, maybe more. Sophia's hands hesitated over her controls. Captain, the power output readings don't match anything in our database. This isn't Council technology. Caitlin felt the familiar weight of command settle over her shoulders. Red alert. All hands to combat stations. Shields to maximum. The Providence shuddered as its defensive systems powered up, energy barriers flickering into existence around the hull. Through the forward viewport, space looked deceptively empty, black and scattered with distant stars. Caitlin knew better. Space was never truly empty. Emergence point in 30 seconds, Lucas called out. Whatever that energy signature is, we're about to meet it face to face. The seconds ticked down. Caitlin's crew worked in focused silence, the kind that came from training together through countless drills and real firefights. She trusted them completely. Space rippled like disturbed water. A ship emerged from what Caitlin's sensors identified as a dimensional rift, technology that shouldn't exist. The vessel was ancient, its hull covered in geometric patterns that hurt to look at directly. Weapon ports glowed with sickly green light. It was clearly not Council in origin, and definitely not human. Scanning now. Sophia's voice carried an edge of fear. Captain, this thing is tearing holes in dimensional barriers. That's how it's moving. And those weapons, they're reality disruptors. They don't just destroy matter, they erase it from existence. Hail them, Caitlin ordered, though she already knew what the response would be. Sophia tried. Static filled the bridge, followed by a series of harsh, discordant sounds that made Caitlin's teeth ache. Lucas pulled up historical data on his screen, his face pale. Captain, I've found references in the ancient Council archives. They called them the Breakers, automated war machines from a dead civilization. The Council encountered one about 2,000 years ago and barely survived. Their strategy was to evacuate any system it entered and hope it moved on. Caitlin watched the massive ship drift closer, its weapons charging with visible energy. That's not our strategy. She stood, moving to stand behind Lucas's station. What do we know about its capabilities? According to Council records, conventional weapons are ineffective. It has adaptive shielding that adjusts to any attack. The only reason the Council survived was that it eventually moved on, not because they defeated it. Then we'll have to be unconventional. Caitlin returned to her command chair. Sophia, send a priority message to Fleet Command. Let them know what we've found. Lucas, I need tactical options. The breaker fired. The attack was unlike anything Caitlin had seen. A beam of twisted green energy that seemed to pull at reality itself. The Providence rolled hard to port, Lieutenant Amy Knox at the helm executing an emergency maneuver that shouldn't have been possible for a ship their size. The reality-disrupting beam passed through empty space, where they'd been moments before. Good flying, Amy, Caitlin said calmly, though her heart hammered. Keep us moving. Don't let it get a lock. The Providence twisted and accelerated, dancing between follow-up shots. Point defense systems engaged, shooting down smaller projectiles that the breaker launched in swarms. The bridge shook with each near miss. Lucas worked his console. Captain, I'm analyzing its firing patterns. There's a 0.2-second delay between targeting and firing. If we can predict where it's aiming. Amy, link your navigation to Lucas's tactical. Caitlin leaned forward. If he can give you a heads up on incoming fire, can you dodge it? Amy's hands moved across her controls. I can try. The coordination was imperfect at first. The breaker's weapons came too fast, its targeting too unpredictable. But slowly, Amy and Lucas found their rhythm. She would jink left just as a beam carved through space to their right. Dive as projectiles sailed overhead. The Providence moved like a fighter craft, all grace and deadly intent. We can't keep this up forever, Sophia called out. We're burning through fuel cells. Caitlin watched the breaker on her display. Then we stopped playing defense. Lucas, do we have any weapons that thing hasn't adapted to yet? Everything we've fired, it's adjusted its shields. Kinetic rounds, plasma, missiles, it learns from each attack. What about something it hasn't seen? Caitlin felt an idea forming. Our experimental graviton lance, the one we've been too nervous to test fire. Lucas turned to stare at her. Captain, that weapon is untested. The engineering team said it might tear apart our own ship. Will it work on that thing? In theory, yes. Graviton particles don't interact with conventional shielding. They warp spacetime directly. If we hit its core, we could collapse it in on itself. Caitlin made her decision. Charge the lance. One shot. We're not going to get a second chance. The next 5 minutes were the longest of Caitlin's life. The Providence continued its deadly dance, while deep in the ship's belly, engineering teams worked frantically to bring the experimental weapon online. The breaker pressed its advantage, sensing weakness. More ships emerged from dimensional rifts, smaller vessels, but still lethal. Multiple contacts, Lucas reported. Looks like hunter-killer drones. They're spreading out to surround us. Amy, keep us between the drones and the breaker. Don't let them box us in. Caitlin opened a ship-wide channel. All hands, this is the captain. We're about to fire an experimental weapon at a target that has destroyed every ship that's faced it. I need everyone at their stations, ready for anything. We're human. We don't run from monsters. We hunt them. The crew responded with quiet acknowledgement. No cheers, no bravado, just professionals ready to do their jobs. Graviton Lance charged, Lucas announced. We have one shot, Captain. After that, the weapon needs a 3-hour cooldown. Then, let's make it count. Caitlin studied the breaker on her screen, watching it maneuver to line up another shot at them. Amy, I need you to put us on a collision course with that thing. Full acceleration. Captain, Amy's voice was steady but questioning. Trust me. Lucas, wait for my mark. The Providence surged forward, racing directly at the ancient war machine. The breaker's weapons charged, preparing to obliterate them at close range. Its adaptive shields reinforced, analyzing their approach vector, preparing for ramming speed impact. It thinks we're desperate, Caitlin said quietly. It's putting all its defenses forward. Lucas, do you see it? Yes, Captain. The rear shielding is weakening. If we can get past it. Amy, emergency roll now. The Providence flipped end over end in a maneuver that pushed the inertial dampeners to their limits. The crew felt the G-forces despite the technology protecting them. The ship passed under the breaker, so close that their shields scraped together in a shower of sparks. Fire, Caitlin commanded. The Graviton Lance spoke. Unlike conventional weapons, there was no visible beam, no dramatic light show. Space itself warped, bending around the breaker's unprotected stern. The ancient war machine's hull buckled as gravitational forces tore at it from within. Its adaptive shields tried to compensate, but had nothing to adapt to. You couldn't defend against spacetime itself turning hostile. The breaker's power core destabilized. Secondary explosions rippled across its hull as systems failed. The smaller drones, still connected to their mother ship's network, went dark. Target is breaking apart, Lucas reported, disbelief in his voice. Captain, we actually did it. Caitlin let out a breath she hadn't known she was holding. Sophia, damage report. Minor hull damage from close-range shield contact. No casualties. Graviton Lance is offline and will need significant maintenance before it can fire again. Small price. Caitlin watched the breaker's remains tumble through space, already cooling into dead metal. Amy, bring us about. I want to examine the wreckage. Maybe we can learn something about who built these things. 3 days later, Caitlin stood in a council chamber on the planet Viridian Prime, facing representatives from 70 species. She'd been transporting here directly from the Providence, still in her duty uniform, for an emergency session. The chamber was vast, built to accommodate the diverse physical forms of council species. Some breathed oxygen like humans, others methane or ammonia. Some had bodies, others were energy beings contained in sophisticated shells. Ambassador Thelin, a flowing, translucent being who spoke through a translator device, addressed her first. Captain Webb, your report indicates you destroyed the breaker. His tone made it sound like an accusation. That's correct, Caitlin replied evenly. We encountered it while responding to your distress calls. It had already destroyed 3 of your vessels. We engaged and eliminated the threat. You engaged, repeated Councillor Mextep, an insectoid species known for their philosophical nature. Captain, the Council's policy regarding breakers has been established for millennia. We evacuate and wait for them to leave. We do not provoke them. Caitlin felt her temper stir, but kept her voice calm. With respect, Councillor, your policy resulted in 3 destroyed ships and dead crews. How many more would have died while you waited for it to leave? Acceptable losses compared to the alternative, Thelin said. Captain, you don't understand. The breakers were created by a civilization that destroyed itself in war. They are programmed to respond to military aggression. By attacking it, you may have triggered a response protocol. More could be coming. Then we'll destroy those 2, Caitlin said simply. The chamber erupted in multilingual protests. Species who hadn't spoken to each other in decades suddenly found common ground in their horror at humanity's audacity. Ambassador Yara Kamani, Earth's representative to the Council, stood from her position at the human delegation station. She was an older woman with sharp eyes and a diplomatic smile that could disarm or devastate, depending on her mood. Distinguished councillors, Yara began, waiting for the chamber to quiet. I believe we're approaching this situation from different perspectives. The Council has maintained peace through non-aggression and avoidance. Humanity respects that approach. However, we come from a world where avoidance is not always possible. She activated a holographic display showing Earth. Our planet has 7 major tectonic plates that constantly shift, causing earthquakes. We have weather systems that can level cities, predators that evolved alongside us, diseases that killed millions before we learned to fight them. We didn't have the luxury of avoiding danger. We learned to face it. Councillor Mextep clicked their mandibles thoughtfully. You suggest that your violent nature is an asset. I suggest that the galaxy contains threats that cannot be negotiated with or avoided, Yara replied. The breaker was one such threat. It didn't care about your peaceful intentions. It destroyed everything in its path. Captain Webb's actions saved countless lives. At what cost? Thelin asked. If more breakers come, if they target Council worlds because of human aggression, then we'll protect those worlds, Caitlin interrupted. That's what we do. That's what we've always done. She stepped forward, addressing the assembled council directly. I've read your histories. You evolved beyond warfare through genetic modification, cultural engineering, philosophical enlightenment. Each species found their own path to peace. That's admirable. But humanity took a different path. We didn't remove our capacity for violence. We learned to control it, to direct it toward protecting those who can't protect themselves. The chamber was silent. Caitlin continued. The breaker is gone. If more come, we'll handle them. You've spent millennia building a civilization based on peace. Let us be the ones who stand between that civilization and the things that would destroy it. The council debated for 6 hours. Caitlin and Yara were asked to leave the chamber, while the representatives discussed and argued. Caitlin used the time to check in with her crew, to review damage reports, to prepare for the possibility that the council would reject humanity's offer and ask them to leave council space entirely. Finally, they were called back. Ambassador Thelin floated at the center of the chamber. Captain Webb, Ambassador Kamani. The Council has reached a decision, though it was not unanimous. We accept your offer of protection, conditionally. Human military vessels may patrol Council space and respond to threats that our own ships cannot handle. However, we insist on oversight committees, regular reports, and strict protocols regarding engagement. Caitlin nodded. Acceptable. There is one more thing, Councillor Mextep added. Many of us fear what humanity represents. You are a reminder of what we once were, of the violence we left behind. Some council members will never trust you. They will see every human ship as a threat rather than protection. I understand, Caitlin said. Trust isn't given, it's earned. We'll earn it. 2 months later, Caitlin stood on the bridge of the Providence, now officially assigned to Council Space Protection Fleet. 5 other human ships had joined them, forming the core of what would eventually become a substantial defensive force. The Providence patrolled the Tertian sector, a region of council space known for frequent breaker sightings. They'd encountered 2 more of the ancient war machines and destroyed both. Word was spreading through the council when breakers appeared. Call the humans. Lieutenant Sophia Ramirez looked up from her station. Captain, we're receiving a transmission from the council vessel Harmony's call. They're reporting unusual energy signatures near their position. Already, Lucas said with a slight smile. We just finished repairs from the last engagement. Caitlin felt the familiar weight of command settle over her. Set course to intercept. Battle stations. As the crew moved to comply, she allowed herself a moment of reflection. The council still didn't fully trust humanity. Some species saw them as necessary evils, dangerous beasts on a short leash. Others were grateful, having seen human ships drive away threats their own vessels couldn't handle. It would take time to build real trust, perhaps decades or centuries. But humanity had always been patient when it came to protecting others. The Council had built a magnificent civilization by leaving violence behind. They'd achieved something humanity still aspired to, a truly peaceful society spanning countless worlds. But in their pursuit of peace, they'd forgotten that not everything in the galaxy shared their values. Sometimes, the only way to protect peace was to remember how to fight. The Providence accelerated toward danger, carrying a crew who understood that truth. They would face the breakers, the pirates, the hostile species that saw the Council's pacifism as weakness. They would fight the battles that peaceful species couldn't, would stand guard over civilizations that had evolved beyond warfare. It was, Caitlin reflected, a noble purpose, perhaps even a necessary one. As the ship jumped to faster-than-light travel, a human proverb echoed in her mind, one she'd learned from her grandfather who'd served in humanity's early space conflicts. Peace is not the absence of the capacity for war, but the choice not to use it except in defense of those who cannot defend themselves. The Council was still learning what that meant. Humanity would teach them, one battle at a time, until the day came when the galaxy truly was safe enough that even humans could lay down their weapons. That day was not today.